Hi, my name is Wasifa, and today we're going to be talking about a very important piece of grammar. We're going to be looking at by versus until. By versus until. These are time prepositions that many students have difficulty with. I have countless students who ask me, what is the difference? They make mistakes on tests, on essays. So today we're going to look at what are these differences and some tricks to remember the differences between them. Okay, so first let's start with until. Until. Like I said, it's a preposition of time. Until is a bit formal. You can also use till. It has the same meaning as until, and it's a little bit informal. So until is formal, till is informal. So when do we use these? Well, we use them when we're talking about a situation or event that will continue up to a certain time. Okay, so a situation or event will continue up to a certain time. And the key word here is continue up to. All right, so if you're not following me yet, that's okay. When you look at the examples, it's going to become a bit clearer. So let's look at example number 1. Okay, I worked until 7 p.m. I worked until 7 p.m. So what we're saying is that before 7 p.m., I was at work. Maybe I started work at 1 p.m. So from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m., I'm at work. At 7 p.m., I stop work. So we're saying my action of working, so the situation is working, I continue working up to 7 p.m. After 7 p.m., I finish. All right, let's look at example number 2. I can use my parents' car until 5 p.m. I can use my parents' car until 5 p.m. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a bit of a mistake in this sentence. I have forgotten the apostrophe here to show possession. Whose car is it? My parents' car. Okay, so back to the example. What is the situation here we're talking about? We're talking about using my parents' car. So I'm allowed to use my parents' car. Well, maybe it's 1 p.m. I start driving their car and I have it until 5 p.m., which means after 5 p.m., I have to give their car back. I can't use it anymore. Maybe they want to go out with it themselves. So again, I'm allowed to use my parents' car, so that continues up to 5 p.m. After 5 p.m., I can't use their car anymore. All right, finally, number 3. We had to stay in the exam room until the end of the exam. So we had to stay in the exam room until the end of the exam. So what this situation is talking about is you start your exam, you're sitting there writing your exam, and then you finish your exam, but you're not allowed to leave the room. So the situation is staying in the exam room. When does this situation end? It ends at the end of the exam. So you have to stay in the room and continue doing this up to the end of the exam. So for any of you university students out there, this has probably happened to you where you're not allowed to leave until the exam actually comes to a close. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to look at the expression by. Okay, so now let's look at by. We've just looked at until. By is similar to until because they're both prepositions of time, but by is very different than until. When we're talking about by, we're talking about a situation or something will happen before, so keyword before, or at a certain time. It doesn't happen after that time. So let's look at some examples to help you out with this. Number 1, I need to return my movie by January 12th. So I don't know how many of you guys subscribe to Netflix or download movies from the internet, but I still like to go to the video store and rent movies. Unfortunately, Blockbuster has closed down, I think, in Canada, so it's becoming a bit more challenging to find places to rent movies from. But if I borrow a movie from Blockbuster, I need to return my movie by the due date. What does by mean here? It means before, or at the latest on January 12th. Anytime after that, if I decide I want to watch this movie again and I return it on January 13th, it's going to be late. I'm going to have to pay money in late fees. So I need to return my movie by means before or on January 12th. Example number 2. I will finish my homework by 4 p.m. I will finish my homework by 4 p.m. So again, by here can either mean before 4 p.m. I will finish my homework, or it can mean exactly at 4 p.m., but no later than 4 p.m. At 4:01, I will already be done my homework. All right, let's look at the third example. We use by a lot, actually, when we're making goals. So New Year's is coming up. A lot of you might be making New Year's resolutions where you set goals for yourself for the new year. So I'm just going to give you an example of maybe a goal some of you might have. I will quit smoking by the summer. I will quit smoking by the summer. Or maybe your goal is different. Maybe you want to learn scuba diving. I will learn scuba diving by the summer, or by the fall, by the spring. Again, what by means is just before. In this case, it really means before. I will quit smoking before the summer. I will learn scuba diving before the summer. So now we're going to look at by the time. So let's look at by the time. So by the time means the exact same thing as by. When we use by the time, we're talking about either before an event or situation, or before the event or on the specific date or time. So the only difference between by and by the time is we use by the time before a verb. So let's look at some examples. Number 1, the subway was closed by the time I left work. So this means the subway was closed before I left work, so I wasn't able to catch the subway. Number 2, the thief was gone by the time I called the police. So again, by the time means before, or maybe at the exact moment I called the police, but no later. So the thief was gone before the time I called the police. All right, so now let's do some questions to look at the differences between by and until, and to see how well you know the difference between the two. All right, so let's look at some examples of by and until. So I want you guys to do this at home, fill in the blank, and then we'll see if you're correct. So for number 1, I will stay at the party midnight. Do you think there's a mistake in this first off? Ooh, I will stay at the party midnight. Okay, good. So for those of you who caught that mistake, very good. Now let's look at what this is. Do you have any guess? What do you think it is, until or by? If you said until, you're correct. I will stay at the party until midnight, meaning up to midnight I will continue to stay at the party, and then after midnight I leave. All right, let's look at number 2. I studied 7 p.m. I studied 7 p.m. What do you think it is? I studied until 7 p.m. You're correct. I studied until 7 p.m., then I stopped studying. So again, you started studying at 3 p.m. From 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., you're studying. You're continuing to study. After 7 p.m., you're not studying anymore. Number 3, I will finish my essay February. I will finish my essay February. What do you think? I will finish my essay by February. If you said by, you are correct. Remember, when we use by, you can even use before. I will finish my essay by February. I will finish my essay before February. It means almost the same thing. At the very latest, you will finish your essay February 1st. All right, final one. Now, this one is a little tricky, so let's see what you think it is. I will be at the restaurant 8 p.m. I will be at the restaurant 8 p.m. Now, this one is going to be more confusing than the others because you could say both by and until. If you use by, this sentence will have a different meaning than if you use until. So what is the difference? Well, if I say I will be at the restaurant by 8 p.m., it means I will be at the restaurant either before 8 p.m. or 8 p.m. at the latest. I'm not going to be at the restaurant at 8:01. And this is really talking about arriving. At what time will you arrive at the restaurant? I will be at the restaurant by 8 p.m. I will arrive at the restaurant at 8 p.m. or before 8 p.m. Well, with until, it will be means more stay.